I feel like this is the perfect time to be showing that, look, our voices matter and we are making change happen. I don't think even 3 weeks ago that somebody saying, let's defund police would be even looked at with much sympathy at all. But I think people are now saying, wow, that's something we need to take a look at and really respond to. Student voice is a big piece of that, right? So, just point to what's happening now. And I think that, to me, when I'm teaching class, especially history, if I'm just talking about history, it doesn't really ring very exciting to a lot of my students, right? But if I can point to how what we're doing now maybe relates to something in history, or how what happened in history impacts our lives today, that's how making it real and relevant.
Something that us leaders struggle with is helping to encourage others to become more civically engaged. I know that you have a lot of experience with civic engagement and working with other people. So do you have any advice on how we can help educate and encourage others to become more civically engaged?
I think it's baby steps. How many of you have gone to Black Lives Matter rallies this month? How many of you have asked a friend to go with you and have been successful at it? Small steps, right? What can you do if you're going to a rally? That's something that you can bring, and something you can invite a friend to that you think, hey, this might open their eyes a little bit, or this might just get that little spark, right? It's not for everybody. It's not going to be that every single one of your friends is going to go from 0 to 100 and I'm civically engaged, right? But if you get 10 of your friends to go from 0 to 10 and then 9 of them to go from 10 to 20, like that, it's just making gradual improvement. Just that patience, having patience with your friends, understanding where they're at, where their heads are at. They're not all going through this amazing experience that you get to go through. And you can't just transplant them into this world. You've got to take them along for the ride. And so, helping them understand, what you are experiencing, even if you're doing that, it won't get them there all overnight. It would take a long time probably to get them to be in the headspace that you're at. And so just understanding those small, making sure they feel included and that you would want them to be a part of whatever process and civic engagement they can, that they're welcome and that you can be there for them.
With social media and technology advancing, normally when we want to spend time with friends or family, it's just all of us spending time on our screens. And we don't really talk or be vulnerable or form a deeper connection with others in our lives. Do you have any advice on how we can start the deep conversations and start being vulnerable and have them be vulnerable with us to really understand and connect with each other?
Well, I think just making sure you understand that they might not be in that headspace, but sharing that you're ready to have those conversations if they are, sharing your experiences with them might not come across quickly as they want to open up to you, but it might get them to started to thinking that, hey, this is where Jade is at in her headspace, and maybe I can get there, and maybe we can have those tough conversations. Making sure that they understand that you're open to those conversations, that you want to share, but you can't force somebody into that, and especially if they don't really understand that's what you want. And that might not happen in that first conversation, but maybe a half dozen conversations later, you're at that spot. And again, that it goes back to that patience, that understanding, and kind of being in that other person's space, understanding where they're coming from.
One challenge that we face is stepping into the spotlight when, really getting out of our comfort zone and speaking up, because a lot of the time we are in the background and helping other people's, but how do we take the spotlight and stand up?
I guess it depends on what you're after. A lot of times for me, I like to step back and make sure that other people are getting the credit, because a lot of times you get things done more easily if you don't get the credit for something. So if there's a movement in place and we're making progress and it's something I want to see achieved, and I think somebody else can better be a lead on that, and I can just help move that ball across the finish line, I'm more than willing to stay out of the focus and the spotlight, because It's really about getting something done.